Hello everyone, so today we're going to use more laws of exponents to solve problems. Notes round one. There'll be 2 rounds of each. So we have 2 to the 5th over 2. Remember that 2 is really to the power of 1, so we can put a 1 there. Then we use our quotient rule, we subtract the exponents, 5 minus 1 is 2 to the 4th. And notice how the fraction is now gone. All right, we could put it over 1 if we wanted to, but we don't have to in this case. So if I had 2 to the 5th times x to the 10th over 2x, remember this is really 2 to the 1st, x to the 1st. Okay, so now I have my 2's. 5 minus 1 is 2 to the 4th on top. Then I have my x's. 10 minus 1 is x to the 9th on top. You notice how the tops are bigger for both of them, so that everything stays on top. Now we have 2 to the 8th, x to the 9th, y to the 10th, over 2 to the 5th, x to the 7th, y to the 3rd. So again, 2's with 2's. 8 minus 5 is 3. 8's bigger, so it stays on top. 9 minus 7 is x to the 2nd on top. Again, 9's bigger. And 10 minus 3 for the y's is y to the 7th on top, because again, 10 is bigger. So here we see the whole bottom's eliminated. We're left with just this without the fraction. The fraction was canceled out. But sometimes you can't cancel out the fraction. So if we had 2 to the 8th, x to the 3rd, y to the 5th, and then we had 2 to the 6th, x to the 10th, y to the, just y. So we have 8 minus 6 is 2 squared. Now we have 10 minus 3 is 7, but 10 is bigger, so that 7 is going to go on bottom. Okay, so 3 x's cancel on the top, 3 cancel on the bottom, left with 7 on the bottom. This is really y to the 1st, so we have 5 minus 1 is y to the 4th on top. Okay, so here now I have to have the fraction, because we couldn't cancel out the fraction. All right, so make sure you go back, pause, copy those. Now here are yours. We have 3 to the 8th over 3, 3 to the 8th, x to the 12th over 3x. And remember to keep the same bases. Like when you do the 3's here, I keep the 3 as a base. When you do the x's here, keep the x as a base. Here we have 3 to the 10th, x to the 15th, y to the 20th, over 3 to the 6th, x to the 11th, y to the 13th. And finally, 3 to the 11th, x to the 2nd, y to the 9th, over 3 to the 5th, x to the 13th, y. Okay, so I have pause, copy, do. I'll pause and do, I should say. All right, notes round 2. Now we're going to look at when the bottom is usually bigger. So here we have 2 over 2 to the 9th, which is really 2 to the 1st. So we have 9 minus 1 is 2 to the 8th on bottom. And now the top part's blank, so now we have to put the 1. Okay, if the top part of a fraction is blank, we have to fill in the top with a 1. So now we have 2x over 2 to the 9th, x to the 21st. Okay, those are both 2 to the 1, x to the 1. And we're going to subtract 9 minus 1 is 2 to the 8th. 21 minus 1 is x to the 20th. Nothing was on top, so I got to put a 1. Now we have 2 to the 3rd, x to the 5th, y to the 7th, over 2 to the 10th, x to the 7th, y to the 13th. So we have 10 minus 3, right? 2's with 2's. So 10 minus 3 is 2 to the 7th on bottom. Now I have to make the fraction line here to get the bottom. 7 minus 5 is x squared. And 13 minus 7 for the y's is y to the 6th. And again, the top is blank, so I got to put a 1. Okay, so now we have 2 to the 5th, x to the 10th, y to the 8th, over 2 to the 13th, x to the 3rd, y to the 12th. So we have 13 minus 5. Okay, this one's bigger. 13 minus 5 is 2 to the 8th on bottom. 10 minus 3 is x to the 7th on top. The 10's bigger. And 12 minus 8 is y to the 4th on bottom because 12 is bigger. So here I have my fraction without the 1 because the x to the 7th was now on top. And make sure you copy those. And the final round, 5 over 5 to the 13th, 5x over 5 to the 7th, x to the 25th. Five to the 8th, x to the 10th, y to the 3rd, over 5 to the 18th, x to the 30, y to the 8th, and the last one, 5 to the 3rd, x to the 15th, y to the 6th, over 5 to the 10th, x to the 13, y to the 16. Okay, so pause and do those, and that will be it for today.